Great. Well, I'm just going to allow a few people to, we're having people join us, so please be patient with us. We're just going to give a minute for everyone to be able to join our session. So I do want to be cognizant of everyone's time, and I know we have some people that have joined, and as people join our session, we will go ahead and allow them into the room. But first of all, everybody, good morning and welcome. I'm Connie Versailles, Head of Economic Development for the City of Sunnyvale, and we're super excited to be here today. Joining me today from the city is Maria Rodriguez, who's the city's economic development specialist. And also, I am so thankful and grateful to our partners, obviously Google, and you'll get to meet Israel in a second. But I really want to thank our partners that are making this possible. And I'd like to start with Don Mayer, who is the CEO of the Sunnyvale Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Don, for being here today, and thank you for always being a great partner with us. And also, I'd like to introduce Dennis King, who is the director of the Small Business Development Center for Silicon Valley. And Dennis, I know we partner in a lot of things, and I know we couldn't have done this with you today either. So thank you for being here today. We have our workshop session, and I'd encourage, if you guys have questions, as you think of those questions and the presentation is going, please use the chat function to submit your questions there, and we'll be able to answer some questions as we go along. And then we will have some time at the end of the session for a Q&A. And with that, I'm also very honored and pleased that our mayor for Sunnyvale, Mayor Larry Klein, is here, and I'd like for him to do the official welcome and say a few words.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for the introduction, Connie. First, I want to give a big thank you to Connie, Maria, Dawn, and of course, Dennis for partnering to pull this event together. I know you all work hard every day to support the small businesses here in Sunnyvale. There's no question that your efforts have helped many of the small businesses in our community survive during the pandemic. And as businesses continue to operate in, I'll say, very uncertain times, we've found a resource that is proven to be essential to the success of small businesses, to our small business community, and that's technology. It's how we're able to communicate today, and it's also how many small businesses like yours can keep their operations running and provide goods and services to our residents that need them. A recent study commissioned by the Connected Commerce Council and Google found that 11 million small businesses would have partially or completely closed due to COVID-19 without the help of digital tools. It also found that digital advanced small businesses hired twice as many employees and were over 3 times more successful at retaining customers than digitally uncertain businesses. Learning how to operate in a digital economy can help set your business up for success for years to come. So I especially want to thank our partner, Google, for helping us provide this training today, as well as for providing free digital technologies that help entrepreneurs reach new customers as we look at the road ahead to economic recovery. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the workshop. Please join me in welcoming and thanking Israel Cerna, a Google digital coach who will lead today's workshop. Israel?
Thank you, Mayor, for that introduction, and thank you for having me this morning. I'm excited to be here and to share many of the tools that Google has to offer to our entrepreneurs. So thank you again, Mayor, for that warm welcome. Once again, thank you to our partners who have made this webinar possible. This webinar is also sponsored and brought to you by the Grow with Google program. So if you're not familiar with the Grow with Google program, I'll just share a little bit more about the program and how it can help businesses like you. So the Grow with Google program is intended to help entrepreneurs with trainings, just like today's webinar, to take your digital skills to the next level. Today's webinar is Reach Customers Online with Google. So thank you for being here. Okay, so today we're going to learn how customers find your business online and what happens when a customer searches for a business like yours. Together, we're going to explore how search works. Oftentimes, there's people who don't quite understand how the search functionality of Google works. So I'll walk you through that process. And then I'm going to talk about 3 ways that your business can appear on Google search results. We will also share some other digital marketing tools to grow your online presence. So let's get started. So once again, my name is Israel Serna, and I'm actually joining you virtually from my home office in West Hollywood, California. That's the power of digital these days, right? That I can offer you this webinar from the comfort of my home. It's a true pleasure to be here with you this morning. I'm a digital marketing strategist and trainer with the Grow with Google program. If you're interested in staying in touch with me after the webinar, you can reach me via LinkedIn. You can send me an email. Often, I like to share articles related to digital marketing via my LinkedIn profile. So if you're interested in keeping in touch, you can connect with me there. So on today's agenda, I'm going to start, like I mentioned, by showing you how Google search works and 3 ways your information can appear on the search results page through 1, search engine optimization, or SEO, as it is more commonly known. And then 2nd, via a business profile on Google. So some of you may already have a business profile on Google. So this may be a little bit of a repeat process for you. But if you don't, I'm going to show you how you can create a business profile on Google for free. And then lastly, I'm going to walk you through online advertising. So for those of you that have not yet explored online advertising, this will be a great crash course for you. So let's start by sharing what I typically share with a lot of businesses and especially business owners today. So what I often say to business owners is that we are now dealing with a different type of consumer. And what I mean by that is that customers nowadays are very well researched. With the power of technology and the power of our mobile devices, we're able to research a company in a matter of seconds. So chances are that by the time a client reaches out to you, whether they're going to call you or whether they're going to visit your brick and mortar store or visit your website, chances are they've already done quite a few research on you. And you'd be surprised how people actually talk to business. Like I mentioned, we are dealing with a savvier individual that knows how to navigate the internet to find out information. So if it's still not registering or you're still not understanding just the power of this, I want you to take a moment and just think about how you typically find or connect with a business that you want to buy from or a service that you're looking for. Chances are you probably either start with an online search, maybe you take it to the next level and do a price comparison online, maybe you read a review. And that's exactly how your own customers are searching for you online. So it's important for you to think of it from that perspective, right? Think about how you go about with your own day-to-day purchases. It's very similar to how people are finding and connecting with you online. And so what does this all mean for your business? Well, it may mean that your website may be your new front door. The first interaction a potential customer has with your business in this case. Your online presence may be the only place that customers connect with you or maybe purchase from you. So it's important that more important than ever to grow your online digital storefront. let's take a moment to read through some of these statistics that I have on the screen. So according to Google data from a February 2021, so earlier this year, searches for local plus business have grown more than 80% year over year, including searches like local businesses near me and support local businesses. So for those of you that may be concerned perhaps of consumers only shopping online, this second statistic is for you. So according to an Ipsos study commissioned by Google June of last year, so June of 2020, 61% of consumers think buying online and picking up in store or curbside will be a beneficial way for them to shop even after the restrictions are lifted. So while the customer journey may begin, or that customer journey or your customer journey will begin online, chances are that it's going to end offline through a visit to your brick and mortar store for like a store pickup or a curbside pickup, okay? So today we're gonna discuss 3 ways to connect with customers online, especially those looking for businesses just like yours. Now, I'm gonna share with you a quick video, and let me prepare the video for you, that basically shows us how things have changed in this last year. And we're gonna see it through the eyes of a business owner. So if you can just give me 1 sec, I'm gonna prepare this video for you. Okay, here we go.
This past year had many challenges. People have learned new things, like how to make any situation work,
I'm sure you're ready for this.
how to keep going through tough times,
Israel, I don't know if I'm not
and
seeing the
how to
video.
stay in
I'm
touch
seeing
while far away.
your desktop. So apologize.
This
There you
past
go.
year had many challenges. People have learned new things, like how to make any situation work,
I'm sure you're ready for this.
how to keep going through tough times, and how to stay in touch while far away. Now, the small businesses they love are ready to welcome them back. It's time to find great places to gather and celebrate.
One second.
See each other in person again, and explore new connections.
Coffee shops near me.
Now that your doors are reopening,
Hi, good afternoon. How are you? This is the part that you tried to cut? Okay.
people are looking for places in their neighborhoods and communities where they can enjoy special moments together again. They're hoping to discover new favorite spots so they can create new memories with people they love.
How are you?
Apologies, it looks like the internet's a little bit spotty.
Yeah, nice to finally see you in person.
So when they're searching for you, and you, and you, be there with a little help from Google.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for your patience with the spotty internet. Hopefully that was an inspirational video for you and really show you how maybe perhaps you don't find yourselves alone, right, with what we've all been through this last year. So thank you for being patient with me on that. So now let's talk about how Google search works so that you understand how your website can show up in search results, okay? So some of you probably are very familiar with the Google platform, right? And probably have done your own searches, thousands of searches perhaps. But what I want to do is take a moment to really describe and share with you how this all works, you know, the back end or behind the scenes of Google, so that it helps you understand how you as a business owner can do your own search engine optimization to help yourself appear on the searches. So Google is in many ways like an image library or a word library, right? With billions and billions of books or websites in this case, and it's constantly growing, right? But in this case, we can imagine that there's no card catalog to help you find anything. And you know, people these days are not just searching for a book, right? They're searching for content within those books. And so with platforms and search engines like Google, we're able to then find information online. So when a person searches on Google, they start off by typing a word or a phrase describing what they want to find on the web. So this is called a search query. And I'm sure combined, we've all done and conducted thousands of those searches. Now, Google's job as a search engine in this case is to help people find information on the web by sorting through those billions of web pages or books and showing people where to find the answers they are looking for. So basically, search is a big piece of software that takes the query you type into the search box and looks for the answer across the web. So the illustration on the screen represents an example of a Google search results page. It's important to note that the content and layout of this page may be different depending on the search, and then also depending on the device that the person is using. So today's workshop focuses on the 3 typical ways your business can appear in the results. One is in the organic results page or section here, which is through SEO strategy. Second is through a business profile, like you're seeing here on the right-hand side of the screen. And then lastly, through advertising, which is done through Google Ads, okay? Now, as you can imagine, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. So I'll take a little bit a deeper dive to help you understand how Google works. One thing that I'm going to mention now, and I usually mention this because I just want to be clear, and sometimes I may not be clear, is that Google is not the internet, okay? Google is a search engine that helps you navigate the content and the websites online, okay? So for Google to be able to do its job, right, to be able to scour the internet, what Google will do is first, it's going to make a copy of your entire web. It's going to make a copy of the entire web. It's going to scan it and then catalog all of that content. It's like the index book. It's like the index of a book, except 10 times trillion longer. So if a potential customer searches for the phrase yoga pants, for example, Google identifies all of the relevant results, then puts them in an order of what it thinks are the most useful. So the $1 million question is, how does Google determine which pages to show? Well, while there are hundreds of signals, here are the top and most important signals that Google considers. One, it considers where the searcher is located. So this is where local search is very important, okay? It's also going to consider whether the page was updated recently. So in other words, how fresh is the page and its content? Third, how many other pages link to your website? So this is why it's important if you have a presence online through social media platforms that you always include your website on those platforms, because Google likes when other pages are driving traffic to your website. And then lastly, it's going to consider the type of content your website contains, okay? So for example, whether there are pictures of yoga pants on that page, whether there's a description of those yoga pants on the page. So one thing that I will mention, because oftentimes when I reference content, business owners automatically think of text. And that's true. Yes, for sure. Google does consider the freshness or the content that your website has. However, content in this case can also mean images. It can also mean videos. It can also mean downloadable guides or downloadable white papers, okay? So Google does all of this, searching on the internet in a matter of milliseconds, which to this day, I just find it so remarkable that, a tool can work so quickly. And so now that you understand a little bit more about the massive scope of the web and how Google works to index all of it, we can move on to talk about how to get your business to show up when people search for what you offer. As I mentioned, Google considers many factors when cataloging and ranking pages. That means there's more than one way you can help your business appear on Google. So the first way your business might show up is to appear in what we call the organic or natural results down the center of the search results page, like you're seeing on the screen. So Google builds these pages of results for every single search to deliver the most relevant results for that particular searcher, okay? So you can now see how the website for Trade Jam can appear on the Google organic results page. So how does Google decide what website to show and in what order? Like I mentioned, there are more than 200 signals that Google considers to determine which website to show. Organic search results are different than paid results. So again, this is the organic section, and then this is the paid results section, okay? How high your site ranks in the organic search is truly a matter of your site being the most useful answer to that query entered by that searcher, okay? That is what they are looking for on Google. So while you can't buy an organic ranking, you can put effort into optimizing your website to improve the visibility on Google and to make sure that your website appears higher in the ranking. And here are just a couple of tips that I'm going to leave with you today, because the reality is I can give a whole presentation on search engine optimization or SEO, but here are just a couple of tips that I'm going to leave with you. So as I mentioned, SEO refers to the techniques that improve your website ranking in Google search results, and the way that you can attract higher quantity and quality website visits to grow your online presence. SEO is important when it comes to managing a website for your product, service, or brand. When consumers use search engines like Google, they are typically looking for very specific product or service or solution. So oftentimes or sometimes they also want to be entertained or educated or reassured of a purchase decision. So again, this is why making sure that when you are building out your SEO strategy, I often recommend that when you are working on this, that you build out a 10 to 15 keyword list of keywords or topics or phrases that are most relevant to your business, okay? What you're gonna do with these 10 to 15 keywords is you're gonna incorporate them as much as possible throughout your website, on your social media content, anywhere else online where you have a presence, so that Google starts to associate those keywords with your business. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a bit. So just to kind of share with you what this all means, I'm going to share with you a story. So a couple months back, actually, I had the opportunity to meet with Rob Willis. He's the owner of a hair salon in the North Bay, actually not too far from where some of you are joining me. His salon is named Atelier Salon and Studio. And so during this exercise, one of Rob's goals was to appear higher on the search ranking of his websites, right? So we sat down and we did this exercise, which I recommend that you do post-webinar, around just search engine optimization strategy, right? So during this exercise, we just started to type in keywords related to his business just to see what showed up. And so what we were finding is that Atelier Salon and Studio wasn't really bringing his website up on the rankings, okay? Now, during this exercise, what you will find when you do this exercise and when you type in your business name is down at the bottom of the search results, you're gonna find this section for related searches, okay? So this is telling you or showing you what other people are typing to find the type of business or product you're offering, okay? So in this particular case, two things really stood out from this exercise, right? And so what we found were that people weren't just typing Atelier Salon, they were actually typing in the city and then also the shopping center that the salon was located in. And so what we found was that Rob's current keyword strategy was a little bit too basic. And what I mean by that is when you look on the screen now, I'm sharing with you what Google shows when you type in the name of his salon. And so what you see on your screen is that in this particular case, Google is reading it as two separate words, as an atelier and as a salon. And nowhere on this search results page will you find Rob's business. Now, with a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of testing, when we started to incorporate the shopping center that his hair salon was in, all of a sudden you now start to see more of his hair salon appear in the search results page. So the takeaway for Rob was that with this in mind, he would need to start to incorporate the salon, the shopping center where he's located in more of his collateral and content online, so that Google will start to associate those keywords with his business. So I encourage you to do this exercise post-webinar just to see what you're seeing with your business or product. You might even discover some new keywords or other ways that people are searching for your business. So for people who are just getting started with SEO, there's a tendency for them to, or for you to think that perhaps that it's complicated or that you have to have a background in tech to be able to do this. And I'm here to share with you that there are plenty of non-technical things you can do to help your pages show up on search. So one, I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record, but to begin with, focus on your content, okay? What you'll have to do in this case is regularly publish relevant and original content around your business, your industry, your products, okay? The content should be useful and accurate, and there's really no rule of thumb on the frequency of how often you need to update your website. But at minimum, I always like to revisit my website on a monthly basis just to see if maybe the menu needs to be updated, maybe there's a new product that I need to spotlight. For those of you that are running restaurants, updating your weekly menu or your specials is a great way for you to keep that page updated and fresh. There's also, for those of you that have a frequently asked questions or an FAQ section on your website, that's a gold mine, by the way. Google loves when pages have those frequently asked questions because one, it's a centralized location for Google to be able to point people to that section of your website because you have the answers that the searchers are looking for, right? So if you're finding that there's maybe like a new frequently asked question that's coming up, I would take the opportunity to go back to that section of your website and update the FAQ section, okay? As I mentioned, I encourage you to build out a 10 to 15 keyword or 10 to 15 phrases that are commonly or relevant to your brand, and make sure you incorporate them as much as possible throughout your website, okay? Now, you'll want to make sure that you are organizing your website in a logical and then clearly labeled way, okay? So what I mean by this is that as a first-time visitor, if I land on your website, I should be able to scan your website and be able to quickly understand what you offer, understand the different pages that you offer or the content that your pages offer, and organize it in a way that provides for a great user experience. Now, believe it or not, there are people out there in the tech world that have a job that's just dedicated to the user experience on a brand's business, okay? So just take a few minutes to study the page, maybe even invite some of your customers to provide feedback on your website, have them rank it, provide feedback on how easy or friendly it is to navigate. And then one thing too is that many of, as an industry with websites, we've evolved tremendously in these last 10 years. And what I mean by that is that we now count with these platforms like Shopify, Wix, WordPress, that really make it more easier for us as business owners to be able to take control of our website, but also really easy for us to be able to update the content on our websites on our own. So take advantage of that, knowing that 10 years ago, we didn't have that luxury, right? We had to count on a web developer to be able to create our websites for us. So I'm going to share with you one tool that Google offers called Google Trends. And so Google Trends can help you research content strategies and refine your marketing messaging for your website. And here's how. Through Google Trends, it shows you relatively or the popularity of different keywords throughout Google throughout a time period, okay? So basically what this does is the data is presented in a graph like you're seeing on your screen. And these keywords or phrases are then ranked on a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 representing the peak search volume of that phrase or keyword, okay? So if it has enough data, Google Trends can show a forecast of search volumes for those, for the popularity of those searches, or even alert you of a rise of searches coming in. So when you compare, and I have an example here just to kind of drive the message home. So for example, for the company called T-Drops, so it's mytdrop.com, using Google Trends, when this company entered the term bubble tea into the Google Trends, they learned that in the West Coast, more searches for the word boba appeared. They also found that on the East Coast, more searches for bubble tea appeared. So as you can see, bubble tea is being searched with different keywords in different regions. And so for a company like T-Drops, this information or this data can help them with their messaging and their marketing collateral, because if they're running campaigns on the West Coast, they may actually or should incorporate boba so that it's more relevant to that audience in that region, okay? Now, let me share one more example, okay? As I mentioned, I did this exercise with Rob of Atelier Studio a couple months back, and one thing that he shared with me, or in the process, was that during this last year, he was seeing or hearing a lot of clients suffering from hair loss, right? So it was a big topic, and it continues to be a big topic within the salon industry. And so what's interesting is when we did this exercise for hair loss, you'll notice that across the country, this search term was trending, and not only trending recently, but had been trending for the last year. So you can see on the map, for example, that hair loss was trending across the entire country. And then it also showed which states were the top states with that search term. And as you can see, New York was at the top, and then California was fourth. So for Rob, this type of data can help him, one, maybe launch a campaign regionally to let potential customers or existing customers know that he has a product for hair loss, or that he can treat customers that are suffering from hair loss. And so again, this data is not only, really good information for you to have, but it can also help you perhaps put together campaigns to drive more business. So post-webinar, I recommend that you visit the Google Trends tool and do a search for terms or phrases related to your product or service, and really study what Google is showing to you in terms of which regions is it showing with the highest search for that particular product or service or phrase, and maybe build out campaigns around those regions, okay? So let's go over a few more technical things that can affect SEO. So first, make sure that your website loads quickly, especially if you find that a lot of your customer base is through mobile devices, or that a lot of your customer base uses mobile to complete orders or to search your website. Make sure that you assure yourself that you have a quick load time on your website. Second, be sure that your website is easy to use and read, no matter how visitors get there. So what I mean by this is, we don't have control over how customers are going to search for us online, right? Whether that's through a desktop, a tablet, a mobile device. The good thing about these platforms that I mentioned earlier, like Shopify and Wix, is that these platforms already offer you the flexibility or the benefit to be mobile responsive. So the system is going to automatically recognize what type of device that user is using and automatically adjust itself to that screen size. But I always say, it's important for you to double check and cross-reference to see exactly how your website is appearing on mobile versus desktop, okay? Now, I'm gonna share with you two tools that can help you sort of accomplish these things. One, Google offers a tool called Test My Site. And basically what you do is you're going to enter your URL, and Google is then going to share with you a report on how well your website performs on a mobile device. And it's also going to give you recommendations to how to improve your mobile speed site if in case it's a slow speed. Oftentimes what tends to happen is, JavaScript, or there's your images or the photos on your website are large in size. And so that can affect the load time. So Google's going to provide you with the report as to how well your website is loading. And then if you need improvements, it's going to list the recommendations, okay? And then the second tool is going to be Google Search Console. In many ways, I kind of see Google Search Console as having a second pair of eyes on your website, because it's going to provide you with a performance report on your website. It's also going to alert you in case your website has broken links. One benefit or one feature that Google Search Console offers is that when you publish a new blog, or you've updated your FAQ section, or maybe you added a whole new page to your website, you can actually report that update to Google, so that Google, you're basically alerting Google that your website has been updated, and you're basically one step closer to getting your website or that section indexed, okay? So it's a great benefit, especially if you're updating your website on a frequent basis. You can alert Google of your website being updated, so that way you're one step closer to that SEO strategy that we're talking about. Okay, so I'm going to talk about creating a business profile on Google. This is a free tool that Google offers. I'm also going to preface it by saying that with this webinar series that I'm offering, I am going to be coming back in September with a deep dive on the business profiles on Google. So for today, I'm going to just walk you through what this is in case you aren't familiar with this tool. If you are looking to create a business profile on Google, I encourage you to join us in September, where, like I mentioned, it's going to be a deeper dive on that. So essentially what a business profile on Google helps you do is that it helps your business appear on local search and maps, okay? So think of your business profile as sort of a digital front window for your business that will appear on Google search results, okay? Now, once you create or claim your business profile, you can manage the information that Google will display about your business online. And I think that's such a powerful thing to do as a business owner, is to have that control as to what Google can show about your business online. Now, business profiles on Google can only be created for businesses that either have a physical location, like a brick and mortar store, or if you're a business that visits with customers on a frequent basis. So for example, you may be a plumber that technically operates your business out of your home, right? But then you go and service your clients at their home, right? So that's an example of a business that may not have a physical address and that goes to service customers at their location. So again, these business profiles are not intended for businesses that are solely e-commerce based, okay? So if you haven't already claimed your profile, you can go to google.com/business to get started. And then hopefully I can see you back here in September for the deep dive. So here on your screen is you're looking at what a business profile would look like once you create and claim your profile. There's a lot of benefits to these profiles. One of the benefits that became really relevant and helpful this last year was being able to control the publication of your business hours. So for example, early on in the pandemic, there were businesses that either had to completely shut down, limit their hours, extend their hours. We saw even businesses who, like a lot of grocery stores, that published special hours for senior citizens. So essentially, a business profile on Google can allow you to take control over what hours are displayed. I'll share with you that personally, even today, I double check hours of operation for a business, whether I'm going to a restaurant, whether I'm going to a park or something like that. I usually double check the hours because you just never know these days, right? Hours may change from one night to the next. And so this is a powerful tool for those of you who have a brick and mortar location in specific. With your business profiles, you'll also be able to post announcements to be able to, promote a new product, maybe promote or alert customers of an update related to COVID-19. You can also take control over the reviews, right? And I'm very passionate about talking to business owners about reviews because one, as business owners, often we forget to ask for reviews, or more often than not, we leave reviews unattended. And a lot of that, I assume, is because maybe you're scared of what people are having to say about your business, or maybe don't know how to respond to a comment. My advice always is to acknowledge the reviews, okay? As somebody who, in the past has relied on word of mouth with family members or friends, I look at reviews in a very similar manner. Yes, there may be a negative review and then 2 positive reviews. I take all of that into consideration. But what's important to me when I look at reviews is whether or not the owner or the business owner acknowledge the reviews, okay? And there's ways and strategies for you to be able to respond to both positive and negative reviews. But my recommendation in general is to acknowledge the reviews. Remember, people took the time to write that review. Maybe they were, maybe not quite satisfied with your service. You can respond in a professional way and try to, mitigate that situation online, okay? Now, in September, I'll talk a little bit more about some tips on how to address those reviews. But for now, do me a favor, acknowledge those reviews, okay? There's also a section there where you can actually receive messages from customers. I personally think this is really helpful, especially if you have frequently asked questions, or if people are regularly calling you with very particular questions. The message feature in this case allows you to be able to do that from your mobile device. All right, so now that we've had a chance to talk about how to create and claim your profiles, let's now look at Google advertising, okay? So this, if you are, never experimented with online advertising, again, this is just one of the ways that you can advertise online, and that's through Google advertising. So the important thing here to note is that advertising on Google is referred to and called pay-per-click advertising. So basically what this means is that you pay only when people take action by clicking on that link or calling your business, okay? So you're not paying for the impression of landing on that search query. You're only paying if they decide to click on that ad or that link or call that number that you've listed, okay? Google Ads appear when people are searching for an item that's relevant to your business, okay? So chances of you appearing on a search query for specialty coffee when you're a pizza parlor are not likely, unless maybe you have specialty coffee that you serve at your pizza. But otherwise, Google Ads does a relatively good job to make sure that you only appear, or that your ads only appear when those search queries are related to your business, okay? Now, I'm gonna quickly walk you through what a setup of a Google ad would look like, and I'm doing it through a tool that Google offers called Smart Campaigns. And Smart Campaigns were designed to help small business owners or first-time advertisers to be able to create and manage their ads in an easy way, okay? Smart Campaigns are flexible. You can choose your goal and customize your content at any time. You can pause it. You can assign it any budget that you want. And so, like I mentioned, through Google Campaigns, is gonna walk you through the setup process, okay? You are gonna get a copy of these slides. So this checklist, you can always print it afterwards, but it's important for you to go through this checklist before you launch your ad, just to make sure you have everything that you need to create an impactful ad, okay? So to start, Google's gonna ask you, what is your goal for these ads, right? So it's gonna be different depending on the type of business that you own, right? So for example, if I'm a hair salon or a studio that's looking to drive appointments or reservations, I'm gonna maybe potentially select the first option, which is to get more calls, right? The goal of this is that I wanna do more bookings, or I want people to reach out to me for special orders. So this is gonna be most relevant if that's my goal. Now, if you are an e-commerce brand, or maybe you are a business that has a brick and mortar store, but then you also have an online store, and you're just looking to maybe drive traffic to your website, then you're gonna select get more website sales or signups, okay? Signups in this case may be that you're driving traffic because you wanna grow your email list, okay, or your subscriber list. So you're gonna wanna select number 2. Now, for those of you that have brick and mortar locations, a restaurant, perhaps, you're gonna wanna drive traffic to your physical location. And so you're gonna wanna select number 3, okay? Now, when you're setting up your Smart Campaign, you also have the option to link it to your business profile on Google, which basically is gonna show your physical address or your web or the phone number that you've listed. You can or cannot select that option. For this particular instance, I'm just gonna, we're gonna select no. You're gonna wanna enter the business name as you want it to appear in your ad. And then next, you're gonna wanna enter the web page where you'd like your people to land once they click, okay? Now, if you're launching an awareness campaign because you're a new brand and you just want people to know who you are, you could get away with just sending them to your homepage, right? Not a problem. However, if you are running an ad where you're promoting a particular product or a new product, I'm going to recommend, and the experts recommend, that you point them to that product page, because you're going to want to make sure that when the user gets there to your website, that you make it as easy as possible for that user to find that product that they just saw on the ad, okay? People can get frustrated if you're promoting a product and you send them to your homepage and then give them the extra work or task to go and search for that product. It doesn't provide for a positive experience. So just take that into consideration if you are looking to do product ads. Just point them to that specific page or that specific section of your website, just to make it a much better experience for them. So you'll be able to preview your ad or the link to where you're going to be pointing them to, in case you want to double check. And then you're going to want to write your ad copy. So before you write that ad copy, think about the 3 questions that you or think about the questions that you want your ad to accomplish, right? So what do I have to offer? What do I want to accomplish? And then who are my customers? Like, who am I targeting in this particular case? So take all that into consideration when you're writing your headlines, when you're writing the copy for that ad, and be as descriptive as possible. Because remember, if you're descriptive of that product, and when somebody's searching for a similar product, Google is going to be able to pick that up and be able to display your ad. So once you've written your ad, you're going to be able to choose keyword themes. So this is essentially a way for Google to make sure that it's going to catalog your product or that ad to the right theme or category, okay? So for example, in this particular case with jam, you can, when you categorize it to fruit jam, Google is going to recognize that. And when somebody types in vegan jelly or buy jam, Google is going to recognize that that's a relevant search query to your jams, and it's going to display your ad in that case. So you'll be able to select from different themes. Again, you should make sure that those themes are as close to related to your industry, to your product or services as possible. You'll be able to choose where or which region you want those ads to display in. This is particularly important. For example, if you're a brick and mortar location, and let's say you operate, in a particular area, you're not going to want to spend the money targeting people outside of a county or outside of a state. So you're going to want to enter your address and then build on the radius. Like, how far do you want that ad to reach? Okay, so be strategic about that. Oftentimes I find that brick and mortar locations, end up typing the entire state or other states, and sometimes, that's not as relevant because it's not related to that local search, if that makes sense. Okay. So again, you'll be able to decide which budget that you want to assign, your daily budget, which is then going to show you your monthly budget. And Google's going to do its part to make sure that you don't overspend or you don't surpass that budget. Again, you're not paying for impressions. You're only paying if somebody decides to click on your ad, which is a big benefit. Okay, so you'll be able to preview your ad before you launch. And then post-launch, what you'll be able to do is through the dashboard is you're going to be able to monitor the success of that ad. Okay, so are people clicking on the ad? What's happening after they click on the ad? If you're finding that you're not getting the clicks that you like, pause that ad, maybe change the headline, maybe change the heading, maybe change the photo to see if that can help drive more traffic, okay? But here, as you can see on the screen, you'll be able to access the analytics piece of this to be able to monitor those ads as you go. Okay, so we are now to the recap and resource section. We have about 5 minutes left, and I haven't seen any questions come through. But if you have questions, please enter your questions now. We have 5 minutes to address those questions. So again, just as a recap, the 3 ways that your business can appear on Google. So you're seeing the organic results, you're seeing the business profile, and then you're seeing the text ads. So these are 3 ways that your business can appear on Google. So your next steps, again, you're gonna get a copy of the slide deck, right? So you're gonna, we're gonna encourage you to take advantage of the Google Trends feature, the Test My Site, for you to be able to link your website to the Google Search Console, the link so you can be able to create your business profile on Google. And then if you're interested, the ads on Google. I'd be happy to share a link with you post-webinar in case you are interested in testing out the Google ads. Google does have an offer where it matches your budget with, so for every dollar spent, you get an additional dollar in Google dollars that you can spend. So also a quick a page with all of the quick links to some of the resources that I talked about today. And then, as I mentioned, we are going to return in September. So this webinar series does continue into September. I'm going to come back on September 9th with a workshop around the business profiles on Google. So if between now and then you want to take advantage of this feature and create a business profile, I encourage you to do so. When you come back in September, I can share with you some additional tips. And then I'm going to come back again in September to talk to you about website optimization. So this is going to be specifically looking at and diving deeper into what Google looks for, on a website, the types of layouts that you should consider if you're looking to build a new website. This webinar will be beneficial for you because it's going to set you up to make sure that you're considering all of the things that Google likes when they're ranking a website. And even if you have a website and you're looking to optimize it, maybe update it, there's also some good information for you as well. The links for registrations are going to go out later in the month, so be on the lookout for that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start to address some questions. So one question that came in is Google Pages still available to create a company site? Yes. So Google does offer Google Pages, which is a great and an economical way for you to create a website. One cool thing about that is when you create your business profile on Google, in the portal or the dashboard of the profile, there's an option where you can, with the click of a button, create a Google site based on the information that you just entered. So it's going to scour that profile and create a website for you. You can customize it, of course, by adding photos, the color, the text. I find that it's a great tool especially for those of you that are just starting up or have like a lower budget for websites. Does Google recognize keywords in something other than just English? Yes. Such a good question. Oh my gosh. Okay. So for those of you that have a customer base that is multilingual, I encourage you to also make sure that you have a website or a portion of your website in that language. Okay. Let's just say, I'm in Los Angeles. Obviously, there's a large Latino community. If I'm a coffee shop, I may want to optimize my website so that my menu is in Spanish, or maybe feature, a product for that demographic, like a café de olla. And Google does recognize those searches because remember, people are searching in different languages as well. Okay, that's a great question. Thank you for bringing that up. So let's see here.
Israel, could I just chime in? There was a question, is if we're going to be sending the recording. And yes, we will send the link to the recording, and we will also send, thank you, Israel, for your generosity. We will also send the slide deck to people as well that registered. And we know we had some people that registered that weren't able to join us. We will also send the link to the people that were unable to join us today.
Great, great, great. Connie, with that, I know we are at the top of the hour. I do want to be respectful of time. I know we covered a lot, but if there's any questions post-webinar, I'm happy to answer them if the viewers have questions.
Thank you. I think everyone is saying thank you, and I do want to be cognizant of time. I just want to say, you know, so my biggest takeaway, Israel, you were so thorough, and I learned so much. I was trying to capture a lot of notes, but my biggest takeaway, if I'm a small business owner, the first thing I'm going to do is go and Google my own business and figure out what's out there, and you know, how do I optimize that? So Israel, thank you so much. Thank you to Dawn and Dennis for being our partners, and thank you to Mayor Klein for joining us. Please be aware that and register for our next event. You know, we're going to have it on September 9th. We're going to send the invitation out in the link. It will also be on the city's website. This recording will be posted on the city's website in economic development. We will also share it with our partners, the Chamber and the SBDC, so they will also post it. So again, thank you everyone for joining. I do want to be cognizant of anyone's time. And if anybody has any questions after the webinar, please email us and we will make sure that Israel can help us answer those questions if we don't have the answer already.
Awesome. Thank you again, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Of course, be well.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.